All right, everybody. Hello again. Welcome back. My name is Kales, as some of you may know. Hi, I'm the general manager here at the Amsterdam Cafe, and I've also put together this place that we've come to, the Cannabis Hospitality Summit, and I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you. Thank you for all the support and just the positivity and coming in together to keep the conversations going. And I'm really excited for the future of cannabis and hospitality and tourism in BC and across the country. And we have some great people joining us from all over today. Ontario, Alberta. We have someone Skyping in from Mexico as well. So it's going to be an awesome day. Right now, we're going to be chatting about marketing and branding as it relates to cannabis brands, hospitality. And I have some awesome people joining me here today, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Megan from Maggie Jane Marketing. Been playing in the legal space since legalization and definitely have had some days in the gray market as well. Happy to be here, and merging both these worlds is really exciting.
How about this now? Nice. Hi, I'm Fernanda. I manage Water Tree Cannabis here in Gastown, just 2 blocks down. If you guys want to visit today, take the opportunity. I'm from Brazil. I got here 6 years ago. I have 7 years of work experience, 6 of them being in cannabis retail, basically.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Mackenzie Bentley. I'm with Tether, and Tether is Canada's bud tender community. You might recognize me from a Tether event. We were up in Vancouver twice last year and then in Kelowna again. And we're actually up in Vancouver again on March 27th for another afternoon gathering. I also have the delight of having worked in traditional travel and tourism PR before cannabis, so very excited to chat about the intersection of the two.
Sorry. And again, I'm Michelle Coswell with Joint Connections, and I also, just to give you some background, have been working in retail in the cannabis space as well as down on the farms with processors dealing with their marketing and vending as well. So I'm really, really pleased and thankful to be here today.
Rael, over to you.
Hi, my name is Riel. I have been involved in marketing cannabis and the cannabis scene since the late 90s, I'm embarrassed to say, in Vancouver. I used to, my first software company was running private membership club software for events, but the lounges, Arthrology, and some of the early member clubs that were in Vancouver were all running on my system. So I've been involved in the cannabis industries for years. Currently, I'm the head of marketing for Breadstack, and we specialize in building true e-commerce websites for dispensaries.
Amazing. Well, again, thank you all for being here. Let's dive right into it. So, marketing, cannabis, hospitality, it's no easy task. Including this one, we had to run right off of word of mouth marketing, just organic. Honestly, all of you people in the room helped make this event possible just by sharing, reposting, talking to your friends, and just doing some old school grassroots marketing. Today we're going to talk about what's working, what's not, how brands can build strong, lasting connections despite these challenges. So we will kick things off with brand differentiation. With so many new cannabis businesses emerging, how do you ensure your brand stands out in a crowded and highly regulated market? What strategies have you found effective in creating a unique identity?
Well, that's a great question to start out with. Thanks, Kales. So in cannabis, one thing we need to remember is it's really no different than any other marketing. The only difference is it's regulated, but guess what, kids? We are not the only industry that's regulated. And we are not that highly regulated in comparison to stuff like financial services. So what is important to remember is when you first start your brand, you find a look that you love. Don't go on AI, don't use AI, don't go to Fiverr. Hire a professional designer, create a look you love, and stick with it. That is the biggest thing. I see so many brands changing colors, changing taglines, be consistent. This will always rule in marketing and help your brand stand out as a differentiator, but you have to maintain the consistency And that is the biggest key to differentiating your brand in cannabis, is be consistent and have a message.
I fully agree to that. I think in an industry like ours, your differentiation is basically what makes you who you are. And from the first second someone looks at you or your brand or whatever you do, they have to understand you. They have to know who you are. Which is, it sounds simple, but it's not that simple. You have to create a plan. You have to have a vision, and you have to know for yourself, who am I? What is my brand? Where am I going with this? And take it from a 3-year law school dropout. Yeah, the industry is regulated, but there's one thing that is true, is that the law is there. It's telling you what you can't do, but it doesn't matter that you can be creative and work your ways around it. Okay, so that's what I can't do. What then can I do? And there's where you get all the freedom to do whatever you want and actually showcase who you are. I think that's where it lies a little bit too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I'd say that brand education is a really big one too. I think also the brands that do prioritize those face-to-face interactions and those meaningful engagements go a very long way. And along every touch point too, from start to finish, you need to be engaging all along the way.
Just to reiterate, absolutely, it is putting your brand out there, letting your brand be representative of itself. I actually built my brand before I really got heavy into my company. I built it across Canada, in Ontario. I go and I don't think anybody has seen much of any of me without my branding on me. Be proud of your brand, showcase your brand, answer questions about your brand, and just be proud of it. Just put it out there. It definitely will get you those places. And also, following the law is extremely important. We've got to do those things. But there are so many, what I refer to all the time as gray lines. We have so many gray lines. Those are the ones we need to push. So as long as we just keep pioneering towards those and pushing those lines, like I said, I don't use the word market when I go out at all. I showcase. So again, it's creative thinking. It's using what the law has given it, dissect it, and then see how you can work it. And then that's how we're going to push them to let us have those spaces and places and market and showcase the way we want to and should be able to.
Hi. So I'm really a story guy at the end of the day. I mean, all of what has been said about brand positioning, color, all that kind of stuff is obviously the kind of the basic stuff, but at the end of the day, what people remember is experiences. And so I think the more opportunities that you have to create memorable and shareable experiences, one of the avenues that we do have in the cannabis industry is word of mouth, and social affords that in a way that your people talk, or other people talking about you, is always more valuable than you talking about yourself. You talking about yourself can easily get shadow banned. 50 people posting photos from an event and on Instagram, and sharing that is not going to get shadow banned. And so that would be my advice to anybody trying to build in brand in the cannabis space. I built the Glacial Gold brand in the legacy days 100% by sponsoring a bus and taking a bunch of skateboarders around the mountains of the Kootenays and letting all the skaters post photos on Instagram about what a fucking wild ride it was to be on the bus and get free dabs, and that summer created a brand that was able to be leveraged into the mainstream market, and was 100% on other people sharing those stories, right? So that would be my advice to you, is figure out ways to create community, and particularly physical experiences people value way more than online promotion or whatever. So these kinds of things, I wish I was there in person, but this is where all of it starts, and it always seems small at the time that you're doing it, but again, it compounds and people remember it, and that's how big stuff happens.
Thank you. Very well said, and which is a great segue into my follow-up question. Do you think cannabis brands need to focus more on their product offerings, or is it more about the experience and community that you create around the brand?
That's a great question. So I think like everyone has to start with brand first all the time. Like like the reality of cannabis is it's an agricultural industry. So our product offerings may not always be the same, and that may not always be our choice. So the biggest thing that I recommend is start off with a strong brand. Make sure people know what your brand stands for, right? Like I think one thing that we tend to do as human beings is we try to please everybody. And when you do that with a brand, you're really selling yourself short. Unless you have Coca-Cola money, you cannot market to everyone. So you have to be okay with the fact that some people just aren't going to like your brand and it's just not for them. And the brands that I've seen do that have excelled, right? Like I look at Wild, I know they're American, sorry, but I still love them because they're really sustainable, but they sell that sustainability story. And for that reason, people know what to expect from Wild, so they buy from them consistently. So that's like really what I would say is first. It's always brand first. Yes, you need to market your products. Okay. So like this is another thing is I've seen so many brands. I'm like, hey, like go to their website. I'm like looking for product information on this SKU. I want to know about the terpenes. I'm a weed geek, right? Like tell me all the tales. And I go to the product page and there's nothing. I'm like, why are you doing this? You not want to sell this SKU? So yes, product marketing is still important, but you have to show up with brand first. And then you put your products out there as they come and as they go. And then you got a reason to send people to your webpage, right? You got news to share. That's why we do marketing. So you can talk to people because that's how you sell stuff, talking to people.
Well
said.
very well. I come from cannabis retail, right? So if I just focus on product and on experience, then what do I have? Because everyone has the same product out there. And the idea is I can focus on saying that I'm the store that has the best dabs in the market, that I pre-select the flowers, we tend to direct deliver, we try to make it very, keep it in the culture. Or I can go around and say that I have every single product out there and it's cheap. There are two very different experiences and you're going to have two very different customers coming in, but you have to know where you position yourself in that side too. I'm 100% in favor of experience. I think people tend to go to places they have fun at, rather than places they had an awful time. They're not going to remember you. So full on experience is the number one for me. And, I think that's where we should, head out in a sense as an industry too.
Absolutely. I'd say immersive experiences should not be ignored. Back in Ontario, we've done an initiative with Countryside Cannabis where we brought a bunch of bud tenders and cannabis enthusiasts onto their farm to actually experience the farm to joint story behind the brand. So this was just very memorable to see it come to life across social media. People remember compelling experiences like this. So it's just really important to get that across.
Obviously, for me, it is experience. I get pointed out as the lady that dances all over BC. I get that all the time. But that is a recognition that goes with my brand that turns just a visit to a store into an experience. And when I engage with those people, so definitely by far the experience is, I think for me anyways, that's the path I need to make or to take to do it in cannabis, for sure.
Anything from you, our TV friend?
I was just thinking about. Sorry, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but I was thinking about the fact that
you are an experience.
We're giving away we've already given away one trip to the Kootenays. StratCan is hosting these farm tours in September, and we have been doing these draws as part of our marketing. And so we gave away one farm tour, and on the 26th coming up, we're doing another thing for delivery, a seminar around delivery where we're going to be doing a draw for another. It's 2 flights and a hotel and a day and $500 spending money to spend hopefully on drugs. So not to speak my own book, but I just love the fact that I just suddenly kind of clicked like, hey, wait, that's cannabis tourism.
That is amazing.
Sponsoring cannabis tourism.
I want to be entered to win that trip. Just saying, that sounds amazing.
Just gotta be on the webinar.
We all want to be entered to win that trip.
Redstack.com/events.
Awesome, love that. That'll lead us into creative workarounds. That is what we have to do every day to keep our businesses running. Isn't that right? So marketing cannabis comes with all of the restrictions, especially in advertising. What are some of the creative ways that you've navigated these restrictions, whether through events, experiential marketing, or other tactics?
Okay, so I have a few ways. First of all, I need to tell you all this because we got to talk about shadow bans. Okay, I'm going to tell you about my experience with shadow bans. Obviously, I post about weed a lot. Instagram, no likey. So I've messed around with being verified before, but a few months ago, I decided I was going to go get verified on Meta. And I did. So I got verified on Meta. And 5 posts the night before were all flagged for review, and my content was not eligible for recommendation. Next morning, after I paid my $19.99, all those posts were now fine. I am perfectly okay. I can hashtag cannabis. I can hashtag 420. I can hashtag anything I want if I pay them $19.99 a month. So y'all, if you have a cannabis weed account on Instagram, go pay the $19 a month. Seriously, like, get it now. So outside of that, we've hosted several events at Maggie Jane. We did some of the first legal events in Calgary and Alberta as a whole, and some of the first legal events right here in BC as well. Not that your events weren't legal, but you know what I mean, right? Like, right? It was definitely, it was a little bit gray in those days, and there were some phone calls I didn't take when I was running those events that I was probably supposed to legally take, but I didn't. Anyhow, I think that things have changed a lot since then. When we were first starting events in the cannabis space, it was sketchy as fuck. Like, that's what it was. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to jail? Like, I'm going to jail. I am going to jail. I have like hundreds, like pounds and pounds and pounds of weed in my van. It's all legal weed, but I don't got a license. Anyway, so we've come a long way since then, and everything, like I find in Alberta and in BC, events have come so far, right? We're starting to see public support for events from politicians and things like that. So the creative workarounds that we have had to do in the past have worked. And I still think we need to do them. User-generated content, excellent creative workaround. Alexis here from Blunts and Beans, like she's a pretty big influencer out in Alberta, shout out. She'll go and do things for brands that they can't do themselves, right? So like brands will send Alexis cool products. She's going to go out there, smoke it, make a funny reel and post it. And she can be in that reel, right? So people and humans and pets and animals can be in content if it's created by your users. There are no regulations on the consumers. So that is my best favorite creative workaround, is to leverage your fans, right? Spoil them, treat them right. And if you treat your fans right, they will become your biggest advocates. So that's what we should do to do some creative workarounds, is treat everybody right and let your fans generate that content for you.
I agree, and I'm gonna join what you just said with what Riel just said too. And mostly, I think we're at fault when we are not doing this together. Because the idea is, if I just put my product out there and then I go there and I'm just like, hey, I have this product and I'm selling it and it's this price and you have to buy it from me, like, who cares, you know? But when I say like, hey, we got together, we have this amazing offering coming up, I'm super excited. It's going to drop on Friday around 2 p.m. If you guys could meet us right here, it's going to be nice, you know? Like, all those things together, the more people get involved, the easier it gets to put the word across. And again, producers are not supposed to be sending people a couple samples here and there, but why not? You know, like one thing here and there, it's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna.
That's why you hire a marketing agency like Maggie Jane to do it for you.
There you go. And yeah, I think that's gonna be more in the next question. But I come from a background where around 5 years ago, I had a social media page with over 40,000 followers. Focus on cannabis. I've never had a single social media page focus on cannabis shut down. Only once where I got hired at Water Street and my boss, who doesn't smoke weed, forced me to do things I thought weren't right, and we got shut down, so we restarted. The account is running again, and there's always a workaround. You know, what you can sell, you can say you're selling product. Yeah, but I can sell the experience. Easy.
Yeah, I'd say definitely shifting from a promotional lens and going to an educational lens definitely helps with the workarounds. The educational element helps in a lot of areas. We've actually got a virtual sesh coming up on March 21st, 24th, where we'll be having giveaways for bud tenders who have paid attention to the PK sessions and know how to answer the questions. Another great workaround is leveraging influencers. So Fernanda here actually knows a thing or two about that because I've DM'd her twice this week on Tether to invite her to participate in some influencer drops.
Thank you again.
Everyone go follow Stoner Nanda on Instagram to see what she'll be talking about next.
I just ditto. I mean, really, I just reiterate. I mean, really, we all get the point here. It is collective. It is all of those things. So, and I mean, I'm at the end of the line. I'm speaking after all these ladies. It's a little bit pressure down here.
Think how I feel.
Now you.
I'm a marketer, not a lawyer, and I want to preface that by saying, definitely talk to your lawyer. But I am from the school of we had to fight for all of this shit. Nobody gave it to us. We sued the government to get patient access. We sued the government. Like, nothing happens if you wait for permission. So push the rules.
Yep.
Get the slaps on the wrist,
Yep.
Make
Absolutely.
shit happen, because I think there's a huge opportunity in again, but I mean, not to keep harping the experience thing, but like, where are the music tours that that are selling a sesh lounge as part of the VIP experience, that you could have branded product there at the event? Like, all of this stuff to me is not a hard one to sell, and as has been said, now you're empowering your fans to be the ones that are talking about your product, which they're allowed to do. You're not allowed to do as a producer, but with the right tools in the right hands, again, wrapping experiences around it. Doesn't have to say brought to you by Nugs until they're inside the event, right? Like, it can still be within the rules of the Cannabis Act, but again, I just think there's a huge opportunity that's being missed with all of the kind of, and again, no shade to Tether, they do an amazing job, but there's more than, like, the bud tenders aren't the only people who are influencing purchase decisions. They are the last mile. I don't want to take anything away from them, but again, creating more experiences and integrating them into more green tents instead of just beer tents at concerts, and there's just a lot that can be done, and I agree, it can be done by marketers that can't be done by the actual companies themselves, right? So it's on us as marketers to create those opportunities for the brands to be able to attach themselves to, as well, I guess, would be my closing remark.
Totally. I can't wait for the day where I can go to an event, like a show, and instead of picking a vodka nude, I can get a tasty, peachy THC drink and have it in a little
Or
cup
some
that looks the
smoothie
same.
bar with
Yeah,
nano drops
like,
in the,
or the day where we can have coffees with CBD in it and just do your work and
100%.
enjoy, and just we need the same treatment as alcohol. So we'll get there one day.
Can I actually comment that I just got back from Minnesota, where, I don't know if you're familiar with the U.S., they have this whole hemp-derived CBD THC thing going on.
You were telling me last week when I saw you, and tell everyone.
It was the coolest experience, because every bar that we went to, every restaurant, like fancy, $50 entree kind of places, would have the craft beer, the cocktails, and the THC beverages. And it was just completely normalized in all of the restaurants that we went to. It was literally on every menu was like the section for the THC beverages. They didn't have recreational dispensaries there yet. You couldn't buy smokable products, but the beverages were like everywhere in a way that like water or Coca-Cola would be. It was just
so dope.
Yeah. It was very nice.
Well, we'll dive more into that kind of stuff in our infusion panel later today. But switching gears here a little, engaging locals and tourist audiences. As tourism grows with cannabis, How are brands reaching both local consumers and tourists? Are there any strategies you've seen that effectively blend local culture with cannabis marketing?
Well, it's a really great question. As far as local marketing goes, you're still going to be limited by regulations. So what I would recommend if anybody is having a cannabis event or is opening up a lounge, you need to collaborate with the community, really big on this. And by the community, I mean you dispensaries, right? The different retailers, like get your message out through those retailers. You need to make friends with them. You can't just go in there and expect them just to do it for you. But these are places where it's compliant to advertise. You have a captive audience. Clearly they like weed, right? They're in the weed store. So that's kind of the low-hanging fruit there. I'm sure that Ryle here has some wizardry and magic in his SEO world that he's going to tell us all about. That is not my forte. So kindly, I will pass the torch on this one. But here you go, Fernanda. What do you think?
Hi. From a retail perspective, if anybody wants to work together, please reach out. It's basic. That's how it keeps us like moving forward. I can be in a store and I can do my own thing and that's it. And and just sit down and wait for things to happen. Or we can come together and actually showcase how further we can go together. Cause I have just a realm of activity that I can do on my own. But if I have that extra help, I have other channels, I have other networks options, we can do something bigger. And just the small little thing is a giveaway. You have no idea how much that goes a long way. Like how much people, oh my God, I can't believe I got a grind. They're just like, yeah, sure. But it just made her day. And that makes people remember you. And this is just, a little bit of a store thing, but from events, from even like Kind or anything like that, or events like this is a bit more industry focused, but something we can just invite people from the community. Tomorrow we're going to have the whole day just for them. That's awesome. We have to find ways to reach out to them. And I think, and this is where I'm trying to focus on right now too, is I feel like one of the hardest things is for us to actually reach out the community of people that are not massive stoners, because people are afraid to go to these events. They're like, how am I going to behave? Like, am I going to have a joint and I'm going to green out? I don't know. So it's a little bit scary still. I think where we could try to go on is to facilitate that entry. It's not that scary. It's okay. Drink some water, orange juice, Yeah. Like, be okay with that. And it's our part to make it comfortable for them too.
Yeah, agreed there. I'd say for Tether, definitely what grassroots marketing looks like is actually going into retailers to do promotion. And that's something that Ashley and I will be doing later today. So if you're a retailer in the area, look out for me and Ashley, because we'll be coming in later. But again, that's just a great way to get some hyper-localized promotion, and it, again, goes a very long way.
And yes, with the tourism marketing, I do absolutely everything involving every sector. There's 3 parties involved here. There's the farm, there's the retailer, and there's the consumer. And no matter what we're doing, we are able to incorporate all those into the same path. I'm doing my tourism. Yes, I'm going around and I'm seeing these farms, but every single tour I do has 25 key retailers in it, in key positions in the province, to make those marks and to spread that. That's how we're going to do it. So again, it just really comes back down to getting on the same board and working together.
Wizard, will you CEO, SEO wizard us there?
I have no wizardry for SEO for event stuff. It's too fast. It happens and then it goes. There's no SEO play. It's all about networks and getting incentivizing people to share stuff for you. I do think the giveaway stuff is I mean, we leverage it with Breadstack. We're constantly giving away trips and drones and cash, and I mean, it definitely helps motivate people to get on our next webinar on March 26th at breadstack.com/events. When a trip to Strat can.
Don't worry, you're gonna have like 50 new entries coming in today. We're all signing up.
I'm just teasing.
So we have 50 minutes left of this lovely panel, and I do want to ask some. There's a really great Instagram question that came in. And I just agree with this person, so I want to ask it as well. And if they're here, thank you. I hope this answers some of your questions. But Instagram question, advertising in age-gated communities. Why aren't more cannabis brands advertising in age-gated venues, like bars, nightclubs, concert venues? Is there an untapped opportunity there? Have you guys experienced any of that?
That's a really good question, and the networks just aren't there, right? So that is something I've considered doing, and I have seen some ads and done a few ads in bars, and I have also done cannabis ads at festivals that are age gated, and that is happening, but it's not happening enough because they're not seeking us, right? Like you have to actually go to these bars and say, hey, I want to do this, and reach out to them and make that connection to actually like have this happen, right? Advertising in bars isn't as easy as everybody thinks. You need to have a lot of money. What do we have in cannabis? Love.
Yeah, it's a network distribution thing too. It's like, you can buy banners, you can buy those toilet ads or whatever, those screens that's about the only thing that you could get at scale. And so for a brand to be able to effectively go, okay, we want to do this campaign in Ontario or in Alberta, or how do we do that at scale to try and negotiate with each restaurant, and totally. It's just not feasible where you can buy billboards or there's other means that you can electronically essentially say, okay, I want to buy effectively on a market that doesn't exist for bars really, other than those.
No, I think it's New Ad.
Horrible.
That's New Ad that does that stuff, and let me tell you, they're not cheap.
They're not cheap,
right?
Exactly.
Like you need to be able to do this stuff at scale to make an impact, right? So I'm not going to go tell one of my customers spend $10,000 on a New Ad thing because that is not even going to scratch the surface. The reality is we have to be gritty, we have to be scrappy. Even the biggest companies that we work with still have budgets they got to adhere to, and are they bigger than craft micros? Yeah, but they're not that great, guys, right? Like, we are not playing with Coca-Cola money. We are not even playing with Jones Soda money. We're not even playing with Boylan's Craft Soda money here, guys, right? Like, we need to be smart. We need to be smart with our money. That's why we're not showing up there, because their margins on our products are so bloody tight that we need to use our money so efficiently. So that's why we see a lot of people doing things like influencer campaigns on Instagram, hosted by Maggie Jane Marketing. Like doing those kind of things where you're really leveraging your products, right? So I'm a scrappy entrepreneur. I went to school for entrepreneurship, literally. So I do things a little bit scrappy, right? Like, I like to show up at events and I like making people feel good, right? Like, I like to show up. That is what's really important for me. And I bring my, my $20, $30 t-shirts that have silly little things. Like, I like big blunts and I cannot lie. There are two that someone can win today. And just show up for people in that way, because that's what we have to do as an industry, because we don't have the funding to do the traditional marketing you see in other spaces. If maybe we didn't have to pay $1 per every fucking gram we put out there for excise tax, then maybe we'd have some cash. But until such time as, margins increase, I think we really, really need to spend our money cautiously as brands. And so, as consumers, looking through it this lens, is those brands are looking, trying to put their money into smart places, but also put their money into their products, right? And that's important, because does anybody here want to be smoking powdery mildew? Anyone? No, I don't see any hands going up. Right. So they're putting their money where it needs to go right now. And unfortunately, that doesn't allow for traditional marketing, but I hope that changes in the future.
Yeah, the same owners of Water Street Cannabis own the pawn shop on Granville Street. If anybody has been there, is a dive bar full of graffiti on the walls. I have put Water Street in every single wall out there. If you go inside of the washrooms, there is a Water Street sign in there. There's Water Street on the TVs. There's Water Street everywhere. We even offer delivery to the bar if you want. However, how can I go into any other bar that is not owned by the same owners of the same business and say, hey, can I put my advertising of my weeds on your walls? What do they have to gain with that? So that's where the money part comes in. We don't have the funding sometimes. It's a lot of cash to be able to say, hey, can I put an advertising here? And the owner or the operations manager is going to ask, what do I gain with that? So it's a two-way road too. We have to have the fine line of understanding. And I don't know, maybe since it's a marketing panel, I'll use this moment for marketing too. We recently got an invite from a cannabis brand to do an event pre-kind at the bar, where everyone is invited, from the community to the industry to anyone out there. There's 2 licenses, alcohol downstairs and weed upstairs plus smoking patio. That's one of those things we can work around. That's gonna be good for the bar. They still can sell their alcohol, they still can make the money, they still can pay the staff get tips, everybody's happy. And the stoners do dabs upstairs. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things, that's what I mean. That we have to come together, but we have to find ways to come together with people outside the industry too.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I'd say that in terms of actually hosting events at venues that are liquor forward, one of the challenges that Tether's experienced is finding a venue that will hold their liquor license to allow for your cannabis sampling event. Anyone that's worked in events will tell you that finding a good event space is a bit like finding a unicorn. In cannabis, we see a lot of flip-flops between events, some that say that they're cannabis friendly and some that aren't. But again, just bouncing off what you said, it's definitely finding venues that want to work with you and that have the same goal in mind.
And we recently have been working with Mama Nadine that was on there from Prince George, and we've been doing weed events in bars, or she has been taking the lead, pardon me, definitely on doing this. They just recently had one a month ago. They had 200 community members show up. Now, it's working with the bars. That's what you guys gotta, that's what I think I need to do, and the way we're moving forward is by looking at the perspective of the bars. They're trying to get events, they're trying to get fundraisers, they're trying to do promotional events and make it in the marketing just as much as we are. And we need to understand that we're not necessarily going in there and saying we need to do this, but how can we work together? So our events, the event in PG was fully a bar event. The bar promoted it, but it was sponsored by Mama Dean's Enhanced Experiences. We had advertising it on the patio because they allow the smoking there. And it was the introduction. So although the product couldn't be sold there, it was completely marketed and directed it to the cannabis community, and they all showed up. 200 people in Prince George, guys. Like that's a big deal to do that based on community and cannabis. That's what they did. Even though it was a bar, yes, there was alcohol, but that's the thing. It's integrating slowly, and that's what I'm trying to say in the fact that we need to just find those paths and work with these people, because not all the bars will charge you that. They'll do a fundraiser and have you come in, and then you're actually helping them out because you're bringing them business too. We need to put our value on that because we bring a large community as well. So it's just understanding and working with bars and restaurants and locations and finding that happy medium. They might have nothing to do with cannabis, but you know what? There's smoke areas right over there. I could put a nice little thing there. Yes, we can incorporate this. So again, and doing the event where they've got the smoking upstairs and downstairs. If you really want to get to the bottom line, it's all about red lines and blue lines for the government. You don't cross them, you're fine. That's what we did in Prince George. We butted the two up against each other. That's what they've done here. So again, it's definitely a way we can go that doesn't always have to be as expensive if we decide to work together rather than giving each other a price tag.
We have 5 minutes left on this one, and I have one final question to ask everyone. So we all throw events. Clearly, we're in this to do events together and bring the community together. So my final question will be, how do you measure success just beyond its attendance?
Ryle, do you want to start with this one?
Sure. I mean, earned media is the simplest one on there. There's social listening tools. Hootsuite, a Vancouver company, has a bunch of those available, although there's cheaper ones, frankly. But yeah, I mean, I would always make sure that you're listening for brand mentions, for posts from the event. Like, that's how you quantify it, is not just by the in-person attendance, but by the reach and how many comments you're getting online and how much traffic those things are generating is a big piece of that. So the more you can do to monitor and record that stuff, the easier it is to assign attribution.
Yeah, that's a really great point. So if you're not familiar with Google Analytics, you might want to take a crash course. There's these things called UTM codes that you can apply to your post to see where your traffic's coming from and how they're doing. So that's definitely something I highly recommend. As far as like other ways to measure success from events, so like what we do ideally is we actually look at the sales data from the province in the following weeks from the event. So usually what we expect to see is we do expect to see lift in those first 4 to 6 weeks after the event. So that's how I kind of gauge my success or the brands that I work with success at events. We don't host a lot of our own events now, but we still show up at almost all of them and we sponsor most of them. And so do the brands that we work with. So when I'm looking at some metrics of event data, I'm looking to see what kind of lift I'm getting in the province and speak, like it would be lovely if the data would tell us where in the province it was, but beggars can't be choosers, so that's kind of what we have to take. So that's the one way. But then, like, the other way I've always measured success of my events in the past is, like, did everybody feel included? Did everybody feel welcome? Were there any people, being aggressive with anyone? Like, I have never had anyone be aggressive at a single cannabis event I've hosted, and I've hosted thousands of people. I've never had one fight, right? So to me, I guess there's success in the way of sales, and as someone who is in charge of budgets for marketing, I need to look at that. I have to look at the ROI, right? Like, you have to look at those kind of things. But for me as a human being, I never hosted these events to make money, guys. Like, I never made money on events. I made a little bit. I survived, but like, it was always about you guys, right? Like, I love cannabis. I've always loved cannabis. Like today my mom is here, and I want to tell you one time, my mom, when I was like 16, my brother was 14, my dad was, my dad, she threatened to leave us because we were all lazy stoners, and we were. So at that day, I learned to not be a lazy stoner, and like, I can smoke weed and go do anything. I get like, I like to ride my spin bike. What do you think I do before I hit that spin bike? I smoke a freaking gagger, man. And then I ride the spin bike, and it's so much more enjoyable. So this all to say, like, I love cannabis so much. I love that it's legal. I love that we're here today, and I love that my mom is here in this cannabis industry with me. Thanks for showing up. And also, I just wanted to make a correction. Alexis's Blunts and Beans profile, it got taken down. So now she is dignified stoners or dignified consumers. Stoners. So dignified consumers. Anyways, thank you. Thank you.
We still want to hear everyone else's responses, so no, it's okay. I'm on the next panel anyway, so see you in a sec.
We'll make it short. The ROI 100% is very important because, you want to have returns. But I do believe the positive response people have to what you're doing matters a lot too. Because if you're doing something and you constantly have a negative response to what you're doing, maybe you want to change your course of action. Maybe you're not reaching the people. Maybe that's not enjoyable for anyone. It's got to be fun. Again, people like to have fun. You want to always make sure everyone is well taken care of, everyone's feeling safe, and everyone is enjoying where they are with you in that moment, at that specific occasion. I'll say, just in sum, that's it.
Yeah, you are preaching to the choir right now. I'd say that beyond the traditional key performance indicators, what really warms my heart is seeing all the industry connections and the new friendships and the smiles and seeing all the UGC come up online. I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. But when I see that pop up on my feed, that's what like tells me that the event was a success to me.
I am definitely not as much as the analytics as the feel and the go back. I mean, I never thought in my life, in my 50s, I'd give up my career and become some woman dancing around about cannabis, smoking it everywhere, being happy, and getting my results. And getting results on social media. Like, somebody referred to me like, oh, well, you're like an influence now. I went, what? What is that? Well, look. And so those were big triggers for me into actually landing in this market. But really for me, it has always been about the connection. It has always been about making that foundation for us and busting through all the crap. So I definitely get my results from what I get on the road every single day.
Amazing. Final thoughts from anyone? This has been a really informative panel, and it's been so lovely to hear from you all. Any final thoughts from anyone?
Yeah, I can jump in and just say that I think it's really important that we keep having events like this because these regulated events, they help break down the stigma and they help pave the way for a greater equality just across the board. So good for everyone for being here, and shout out to Kales again for putting this on.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Gil.
Well, thank you guys. I encourage you guys to connect after the panel. We do have the networking lounge downstairs if you have one-on-one questions or more ideas or, have fun. We have another panel coming up at 11, so go grab some more coffees, use the washroom, have a smoke break if you want, encouraged. The next panel is going to be designing cannabis-friendly spaces, and it's going to be a really dope sesh. Thank you, Rael, for your time. I wish you were here smoking weed with us. Until next time, bye-bye.
Really,
Bye-bye,
really
buddy.
having some FOMO.
Bye.